Ready. Play.
Well, hello there, and welcome to my Wimbledon Power Rankings, Part 1. I say Part 1, think of it as more of a preview of the final Power Ranking, which will be out next week. This is going to be where my head's at going into Wimbledon, of who's looking good to do well here. But I will say this, I think the main point of interest is going to be how much is this going to influence Part 2? Likely to be a lot, to be honest. But Berlin and to a certain extent Eastbourne have a lot to do to change that. I'm going to be paying very close attention to who makes the quarterfinals of both those events before coming up with a final power ranking. So to a certain extent, this is going to be based on more on form from 20. So this list is going to be more influenced by where players are at coming into 2024. And I think that's going to be, I think that's where we're going to be at. Now, that being said, when I do the final power ranking, it's going to be influenced by 2024 results, grass court results, and previous Wimbledon results. And that's not saying that grass court events from this week so far aren't going to have any benefit, but they're going to have minimal impact, I would say. It doesn't show a lot. We haven't seen some of the really big guns in action yet. Enough of this. The video's going to be too long otherwise. So, number 10, and this is all based on hype, Naomi Osaka. Yes, no, I know. She reached the quarterfinals in Den Bosch and lost very narrowly to Bianca Andreescu. I think it does say something that Osaka's last two defeats have been narrow losses to fellow Grand Slam champions. And I think she's on the brink of doing something special. We talked about it in WTA Weekly with Miles. I think Osaka's going to be one to watch at Wimbledon, potentially. Let's see how she does in Berlin to see if she can solidify herself as a place on this list. But I wanted to acknowledge her progress so far as someone we're now talking about as getting back into being a potential contender. So Naomi Osaka is number 10. And I think if her game finally clicks on grass, would be well deserved this place. Number 9, someone else who has had a lot of hype this year, Danielle Collins. Hasn't played on grass yet, had that surprise exit early on in Roland Garros. Maybe that's a sign that momentum that she picked up after Miami is starting to sputter a bit, but too early to say. I think Danielle on grass is dangerous. She has a big game. She's hitting much more confidently. That's going to have a big impact at Wimbledon. And at the minute, it's just, you can't rule her out from doing something special. And what Collins and Osaka have in common is they both had positive reactions to narrow losses to Iga Swiatek. So maybe Osaka will do something different later on. That's one of the reasons why she's on this list. But Danielle Collins is the trendsetter in that respect. Let's see how she does. I think she's playing Eastbourne, so we won't see her for another week or so. So I do want to see how she is when she does hit the grass, to see whether she stays on this list. But I think she is worthy of attention on this list. Right. Number 8, last of the hype trains. Mira Andreeva. Second will be her second Wimbledon. Last year, Wimbledon debut, made the 4th round and almost knocked out Madison Keys in straight sets in the 4th round before Keys decided to step things up. Had she not done that, then Andreeva's first Grand Slam quarterfinal could well have been at Wimbledon last year. Her game is just so solid, and her result in Roland Garros getting to the semi-final has put a lot of momentum behind her now and has helped her make the case for someone who's going to make a big impact at Wimbledon. And she's going to be seeded, probably, very likely going to be seeded at Wimbledon. So she's going to have a slightly easier draw ahead of her compared to recent slams. Let's see how she handles that. I'm interested to see, again, how she deals with the grass. She's not playing warm this week. I thought she was. So it's going to be more of a next week thing. But Mira Andreeva is someone who you've got to watch this week. Number 7 might be a surprise. Victoria Azarenka. And Victoria Azarenka is here broadly because of her consistency throughout the season. I'm looking at my tracker now, and she's reached 3 1,000 quarterfinals this year. She also reached the last 16 of Wimbledon last year, narrowly losing to Lina Svitolina in one of the matches of the year. In fact, I think it was Ghostie's match of the year, or his match of Wimbledon. So, and don't forget, Azarenka's a Wimbledon semi-finalist from a while back now, but still a factor. I think she's got it in her to get a reasonable run. I'm interested again to see how she does in Berlin. That's going to have a lot to do with where she lands up, whether she stays in the top 10 or not. But she's had the consistency through the season so far to suggest that she is going to be a dangerous force when we get to SW19. So Azarenka is very much in the running to get into the final power ranking ahead of Wimbledon. Number 6, we're starting to get into maybe some less surprising names, a little bit less based on hype. And I wanted to put this person in because of their track record on grass, and that is Ons Jabeur, who Renee Stubbs referenced on a previous episode of WTA Weekly as the best player on grass on the WTA tour. So why is she not number 1? Because her form's been a bit patchy. She narrowly lost to Karolina Pliskova in Nottingham. Maybe she wasn't herself that day, and I don't know how big a deal it would have been to win Nottingham. But she seems to have got some of her mojo back after Roland Garros. And frankly, she loves Wimbledon so much. She's so good on grass. I think she'd really have to not show up or be slightly less than her best against a very good opponent to not go deep at Wimbledon. So I'm interested to see how she goes in Berlin. I have her getting quite far. But Ons Jabeur can never be ruled out of Wimbledon and highly likely to be in the final version of the power rankings when they come out next week. Number 5, defending champion Marketa Vondrousova beat Jabeur in the final last year. And she is number 5 because she's the defending champion. I could have swapped her and Ons, but I feel like the fact that she's held a Wimbledon trophy very recently, that she is coming in as the defending champion, should add a lot of weight to it. I know that maybe there's a lack of confidence in her doing that again. My response is, doesn't mean she's not going to go deep. Doesn't mean she's not going to trouble some people again. Let's see from Berlin if she can replicate what she was doing on grass, but she unlocked something last year. And I don't know. I think at least in this video, let's give Marketa Vondrousova the kudos she deserves as a Wimbledon champion. Number 4, Coco Gauff. Probably not a surprise right now to put Gauff here. I think there's been some matchup problems recently with top players. Her grass form last year wasn't great. That being said, Wimbledon was the place where she burst onto the scene. And I think her speed around the court makes up for maybe struggling a little bit with some of the other facets of grass. So at the minute, Gauff's here more out of habit than anything else. I could see her climbing this list, depending on how Berlin goes. But certainly Coco deserves to very much be in the conversation for any big result. And let's face it, if things had gone differently at Roland Garros, she could well have won it. Let's be honest. If Osaka had pulled off the upset, Gauff becomes the favourite once Sabalenka and Rybakina lose in the quarterfinals. Speaking of, number 3 on the list, fellow member of the current WTA top 4, Iga Swiatek. Maybe a surprise to put number 3. She is on a winning streak right now. Grass is the big factor here. And this is not me saying she's never going to be good on grass. I believe that she could win Wimbledon one day. I don't know if that day will come in 2024. She's not going to have any grass court prep, and her mind is probably a little bit more on the Olympics and Taylor Swift. So I think she'll go deep. I think she's got a good opportunity to go deep at Wimbledon, draw dependent. But I think we're managing expectations a little bit for this one. Would not be surprised if she won it. Would absolutely love her to win it, obviously. But right now, I think that lack of grass court prep that we know is going to happen is going to really hold her back when coming to look at who the favourites for the title are. And you probably pretty much worked out who the favourites are going to be based on what I've said so far. The order might surprise you, because number 2, I have Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka, obviously coming into Berlin, maybe is the title favourite there. She's obviously 2-time Wimbledon semi-finalist in the last 2 times she's played SW19, and frankly has the game on for grass and will do a lot of damage there. I guess what currently maybe holding her back a bit is maybe some health concerns that she's raised. But to be honest, there is a reason why my number 1 is my number 1. Number 1 is Elena Rybakina. Elena Rybakina, very similar to Sabalenka in many ways. Game built for grass. I would argue grass is where Elena Rybakina comes alive, especially at Wimbledon. I actually genuinely think that Rybakina won't need much draw help to do well here. She won that Wimbledon final in 2022 at 50% first serves or something like that. It was low. Her super flat, precise strokes are built for grass. And she's also a former champion. And for me, that will always edge things when you don't see how actual grass court form is playing out as current. That's what you have to fall back on, is who's done it before. And Elena Rybakina has done it before, and somewhat spectacularly. And let's face it, she and Sabalenka last year lost to a peaking on Jabeur. And that's the other factor as well, as matchups. If Rybakina and Sabalenka played each other at Wimbledon, I, at the minute, would back Rybakina to win that match for a couple of reasons. One, Rybakina always wins at least one set. And that leads into reason number 2, is if she wins at least one set, I think she's going to be more comfortable, and that's going to help her win. This is all based on previous years. I will very much be willing to revise this if Berlin turns out differently. And I keep mentioning Berlin a lot. Berlin is going to change a lot from this list. But right now, going into Wimbledon, my 10 players to watch, my 10 who would currently be on the power rankings are number 10, Naomi Osaka; number 9, Danielle Collins; number 8, Mira Andreeva; number 7, Victoria Azarenka; number 6, Ons Jabeur; number 5, Marketa Vondrousova; number 4, Coco Gauff; number 3, Iga Swiatek; number 2, Aryna Sabalenka; and number 1, Elena Rybakina. What do you think? Am I leading too much into the hype for Andreeva, Collins, and Osaka? Am I foolish for putting Iga third favourite when she's doing so well at the minute? Am I too optimistic about Rybakina's prospects? Why do I never put Aryna Sabalenka as number 1 in my power rankings? Maybe that day will come. And it might come next week. So join us on the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying the content that's coming out of Berlin and Halle so far. Maria's got some great scoops from Berlin already. And I'll be seeing you on WTA Weekly to wrap up all the action before I start putting my mind to the final power ranking, which is coming out next week. So, interested to know what you think. So, whilst we wait to find out, let's keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.